How's it going, YouTube? I'm Dave Clark and welcome to another video about my old sled. Today's video is a response to Aaron O. Aaron sent me a message recently and he recommended a number of topics for videos. One of them was what to carry on a snowmobile. So that's what this video is all about. I hope you find it useful. Alright, so that's a really good question. Now, what you carry on your snowmobile really depends on the type of riding you're doing and where you're going. So if you're just close to home and you're ditch banging along the side of the road, a couple of spark plugs and a toolkit and you're good to go. But if you're heading out into the backcountry or even in some of the trails up here are way back in the bush, then you really want to plan to have some items with you that you might need if you're in an emergency. Ideally, you're always going to ride with somebody, right? Because it's kind of like boating. Your machine can take you a long way from help and home. But realistically, I mean, a lot of my friends don't have snowmobiles, and I kind of like riding out there by myself. So one, I want to carry a few tools, but the other thing that I really want to make sure that I carry is something to help me keep warm. So I want something to help make fire, and I want something to help shield me from the elements. A small screwdriver set, just because it's small and compact, I can fit it in the trunk really easy. You know, I got a couple of sockets here. These torque heads come in handy. So again, you know, just a small, really convenient size to throw in the trunk. This thing that I carry with me, just because it's compact and easy to carry, and it'll be really handy if I ever do need it, it's just a small bag with some bolts and washers and nuts in it. And then you've got them. If something, you know, rattles loose, you lose a nut or you break something, you've got something to at least get you home. Okay, so the other thing I keep in the trunk of the snowmobile rather than the saddlebags, just so I can find it easily in the dark, is a little LED flashlight. The other thing I did shortly after I bought the sled was replace the toolkit that it came with. You know, so this is the one thing, I mean, I replaced this right away. I wanted to make sure that I had all the right parts and I made sure they were in decent shape. I hit them with some liquid wrench, you know, to keep them from rusting. So, I mean, you've got a socket to take your spark plug out. You've got some wrenches, emergency starter. So if your recoil starter breaks, you can actually wrap that around and attach it. It's got a special clip to attach it to your clutch so you can manually start it. If your belt breaks, you need one of these to take the it opens the pulley so you can take the belt off. You got tools for adjusting your suspension. So this is a handy kit to have, so I made sure that I had a new and complete one. So I do carry a couple of spare spark plugs. There's actually a place for those on the belt cover, and obviously there's a spare belt there as well. I also have a couple of new spark plugs in my saddlebags. So guys, in all honesty, a lot of the items in this video are a little bit of overkill for the type of riding that I do. I mean, I do get back in the trails, but this year actually I didn't get a lot of riding in. Gradually taking longer and longer trips as I get more comfortable with snowmobiling. But you know, again, I used the summer months. I started putting together things that you know, anything I saw that was kind of small and easy to carry on the sled, kind of maximum value for the minimum amount of space, I picked up. Alright guys, so I'm not a survival expert. I'm not going to teach you to survive out here in the wilderness for days on end, but you know, this is a fairly typical situation where you know, I'm out on the trail, it's an older sled, it's been a bit cranky, it's broken down. Sun is just getting down below the trees, the shadows are starting to get longer. Now out here it gets dark pretty quick, so you know, there's a few things that I carry on my sled to make sure that I can stay warm while I'm out here waiting for someone to come get me, or if I'm stuck overnight. Your first priority is always going to be keeping warm. So always make sure I carry a spare pair of gloves, because if your gloves get wet, you're going to be cold, and a dry pair of socks. Along the same lines, dry balaclava. I mean, it's not a cold day, I wasn't wearing one, so I just have the spare one in the saddlebags. But if I was wearing one, I'd keep a spare dry one, and a hat. To hunker down for a while, you might want to start a fire. So there's a couple of things that I carry along those lines. So this is some fire starter material it's just material that's flammable in a sealed pouch so it stays dry. If you can't find that, just some birch bark. So it's birch bark in just a sandwich bag so it's sealed and dry. And then in here I've got a ferro rod, so magnesium and a flint to start a fire. But it's always best to have a couple of sources of ignition. So I've got a lighter and I've got some waterproof matches. So you guys have seen these on Survivor shows, I'm sure, and I always used to wonder why they bothered with this. Why don't they just bring a little lighter and some matches? It seemed a lot easier. But I mean, the advantage with this is you can use it even when it's really windy, and if it gets wet, it's still going to work. The other thing I carry to help stay warm is these hand and foot warmers.
So you guys have seen these, you can buy them in most hardware stores. You know, so this one you crack it, once it's exposed to the air, it warms up and it stays hot for 7 hours. So, you know, you can crack those, shove them into your boots and your gloves, keep warm while you're getting yourself set up.
Alright guys, so it's not really practical to carry a full-blown shelter with you out on the trail, but there's a couple of things that I do carry that kind of the next best thing. So the first one is this emergency blanket. So it's by a company called Survive Outdoors Longer, SOL. Actually, you can think of a couple of things for that. Survive Outdoors Longer. It's so emergency blanket. You know, it's easy to carry. It's small and compact. It's a reflective surface, so it reflects 90% of your body heat back in. It's windproof and waterproof, so I mean you can wrap yourself in this, or I actually have a couple of them on the sled, so you know you could even use them to make a small shelter. The other item is this emergency bivy. So it's kind of, I don't know if the camera will pick that up. It's kind of like a sleeping bag, but it's not insulated like a sleeping bag. But again, it's a reflective surface. So you know, if you're dressed and layered warmly for snowmobiling, and then you use this as well, you know, again, it's a little bit of shelter from the elements. It's not going to keep you sort of warm and cozy, but it'll keep you safe overnight. And then the other thing that I always make sure I've got is some rope. So this is 50 feet thick. It's something you use for almost anything, but you know, you could use that for putting a small shelter up. Good first aid kit. So again, I'm not going to be doing any amputations or surgery out on the trail, but you know, it's pretty easy if you're working under the hood to cut yourself, or you know, if you're cutting trees or anything like that, it's pretty easy to give yourself a good cut. So first aid kit's a good idea. I talked about this in one of my other videos, but this is that easy out pull-out strap if you get stuck. You could also use that, actually, you could hook it onto another snowmobile and he could pull you out with it. Multi-tool, you know, easy to carry, pair of pliers, wire cutters, you know, knife, file, bottle opener. That's the handy one. So just a little catch-all for anything you didn't think of. So this is a nice small hatchet that I bought. So, you know, I'm not going to be knocking down any trees with this, but I thought this would be good for knocking limbs off brush and that for building a fire. Likewise, whether you're building a shelter, building a fire, or just cutting a tree down that's hanging across the trail, you know, these little brush saws are handy to carry and they don't take up a lot of space.
You know, make sure you've got something to eat, so some energy bars, they're easy to carry.
And you want to stay hydrated, so a bottle of water.
So here's an item that, you know, totally overkill for a lot of us. I just picked this up because I was doing this video, and for some of you guys that are doing some real backcountry riding, this will be handy. So SOS emergency food ration. So again, just because this is so small and easy to pack in your saddlebags, I think it's not a bad idea to pick up. This is 3 days worth of food rations, 3,600 calories, 3 bars each day for an adult. Super easy, and it'll come in really handy if you need it. Alright guys, so that's the basic kit that I carry with me out on the trail. So something to keep me warm, something to help me make a fire and keep the elements off me, and a few tools if I have a few minor repairs. Listen, I'd love to hear what you guys carry on the trail, or if I missed anything. Post something below in the comments. I hope you found that video useful. If you did, go ahead and hit like. And if you hit the subscribe button, I try and post new content every week. I'll catch you next time.